Chapter 10. Rayful. While at the jail, we saw on the news that the feds had just arrested Rayful Edmond's crew. They had a 43-count indictment and were being charged with all types of crimes that I had never heard of before. Continuing criminal enterprise, interstate travel in aid of racketeering, unlawful use of communications. They arrested almost his whole family, including his mother, cousins, brother, and in total 29 men and women. We all knew from word on the street that the feds was about to move in on them, but we didn't understand the magnitude of the charges and the investigation. It was a peek into what we were up against because we all dealt with the same people directly or indirectly. We were all in the same profession. He was 24 years old, but we were still juveniles, so we knew we still had a little bit of time to play before the feds could do anything to us. The feds didn't charge minors. We were so naive that we all believed that if you weren't caught with any drugs or guns, it would be extremely hard to convict you. We all believed if you weren't on any wiretaps or surveillance videos conducting business, you were good. We all believed that his whole crew would probably be found not guilty because jurors in DC would consist of at least one person we knew that wouldn't allow the Europeans to fabricate charges against one of us. But little did we know, they brought them all up to DC jail where I was being held. When you first came to DC jail, you were taken to the infirmary to go through a medical check and were given a tuberculosis shot. TB is an airborne disease that spreads from coughs and sneezing. It was primarily spread by the dope fiends going through withdrawals. Once they got to the infirmary, one of the juveniles on our block began banging his head against the cell bars so it could swell up and bleed, just so he could be taken to the infirmary to see Ray. He needed reassurance about the charges because he thought they were coming to get him also. We told him the feds don't charge juveniles unless he killed a federal agent, but he was a flunky that was looking for attention. He was locked up for the murder of a store clerk. He came back a half an hour later smiling with an intense headache and his head bandaged up. He was just happy to see the crew even though they didn't even know the young weirdo. The whole crew was eventually transferred from the jail for getting too much attention. The last straw came after Domino pizza boxes and fifths of Hennessy were found in their cells. They were then sent to Quantico and Fort Meade military bases in Virginia and Maryland respectively, and taken back and forth to court in military helicopters. The young boy ended up with a 50-year sentence and was never charged with the conspiracy. But 7 years later, Rayful went from being the biggest baller to being the biggest rat in DC history. He then implicated the weirdo that he didn't even know in a separate murder.